Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you joining me today. Have you ever wished that you just had a dream team of people around you, almost like you're a company and they're your board of directors to help accelerate your career, help you achieve your life goals, what it might be? That's what we're going to talk about today, is how to approach and judge and evaluate the people that are both closest to you and that you look up to, because both of these aspects are going to be what really determine your future. And this is not the traditional mentor-mentee relationship, but it's actually going to dive a little bit deeper into how to build that relationship, how to make it reciprocal, and what the cycle should look like. So first question we got to ask, right, is what actually is this board of directors concept that I'm referring to? And so I'll take my own life as a personal example. So I have two different kind of circles that I apply this to. So the actual people that I know and interact with in my life on a recurring basis. So I'm someone who I have a pretty small, really, really close friend network circle, but each of them are providing their own level of expertise and different perspective within a particular realm. So if we just look at a simple aspect of what most people want, is most people want financial freedom. So within my group of friends there, I have people who believe that crypto is the future. I have people who believe that real estate's the future. I have people who believe that just simply being conservative and 401k and Roth and investment and housing, that traditional formula is the way to go. And I have other people who are all about diversity in terms of, I'm going to split between 20% in precious metals, 20% in crypto, 10% real estate, blah, 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 blah. And the variety of assets is the way to go. And this allows me to come together and garner these different expertises and different points of view and formulate my own opinion from my own independent research, but also in conglomeration with them, and also track where people are at and who is successful and who's not. And so this is the kind of thing that you want to look at from your career perspective, okay? Is you want to get a diverse set of opinions, because the aspects that go into being a successful employee or entrepreneur are vast. You need to be business minded. You need to be people minded. You need to be operations minded. You need to be revenue minded. And you need to actually be hard skill technical minded in whatever your realm is, right? So you actually need this diverse form of opinions. And so this is going to be almost the concept of assembling your Avengers, right? To where you are trying to become the best version of yourself. And then the second aspect of this is going to be, let's say you don't know anybody that knows a particular realm, right? So if I look at me, and I don't have a lot of people directly in my life that are very philosophical or are honestly entrepreneurs. And so with me owning my own business and also being very good at turning philosophy into action, I don't have that directly in my life. So that is what I'm going to outsource as sort of a people I look up to. People I find on the internet, people that I follow, people that are reoccurring in my life, not in a, hey, I can call them up way, but I'm looking at their content and their ideas and learning from their mistakes that they present and put out there, right? And so that's the thing that you need to identify. Step one of this is going to be, who should be on your board, right? So do you need people that are going to be tactical within your career path? Do you need people that are going to be philosophical? Do you need people that are strategic? Do you need people that are business? Do you need, honestly, just support systems? Because maybe you have all those answers and you just need the support because you struggle with believing in yourself, whatever it might be, okay? And then you're going to look at the people in your life and go, okay, who's the best at each of these things? And have I assembled a group of people that fulfill these? And part of this also might just be, hey, I need the group of friends that is going to be fun and allow me to really recharge and regroup and revamp when I'm in that stage or when I'm in that season, and whatever you have within your network, then you want to take the difference. So the ones that you can't fulfill from the people side, because either you don't know the people or don't have access to them or whatever it might be, boom. Now you actually know maybe who to look at from a follower, social media, book, podcast perspective, right? And then now together you have a complete picture of your board, right? And so looking at kind of like I said, a couple different examples here, right? So you might have direct peers of you, right? So people that are at your same career stage, they really understand what your day-to-day are, and they maybe are just in a different industry or are providing a different perspective, or maybe they have an idea of a different path of where the industry or where the career path should be going and what that looks like. And you guys can interact and bounce ideas and begin to build a community off of. Then you might have more, let's say, senior mentors. So people that are actually still in your career path and maybe they're at the next level. So for me, right, I'm at that kind of director level of leadership. So I'm looking at people that are at that VP or C level, right? So they're the next step of me. They're still very tactical. They are still in my direct line of path, but they know what separates me from the director level from them at the VP or C level. So they actually have what I want, have already been there. And if you could have the added bonus, they've also taken other people there and done that multiple times. So like, that's kind of when you look at me and like where I am as a coach, right? I have consistently gotten early career professionals to 6 figures within 3 years of graduating. I have consistently been able to bring people into individual contributor, into manager, and into director. I consistently been able to land people jobs regardless of the job market, right? So that's the way that you want to judge the mentors that you are looking at as well. And I feel incredibly blessed to have the mentors that I've had throughout my career. And here's kind of the other aspect of this, right? Is some of the mentors that you have will not be your mentors for life. And that's the most difficult thing for people to realize, right? Is that if you surpass that mentor, then really it becomes how valuable is the relationship as to whether or not you maintain it. And I know that sounds kind of terrible and transactional, right? But relationships are a two-way street. And I don't care who's in your life. They need to provide value in some way. Again, even if it is just like, I really enjoy who this person is, and no matter what we are doing, there's always a great time. Okay, that's completely good enough to keep someone in your life. It just needs to be valuable. It doesn't need to be this truly tactical, transactional thing. Okay. But if you get so far beyond someone that mentored you, because maybe your aspirations are bigger than theirs, they were just able to get you to the next level or the next 2 levels from where you were, but then you end up surpassing them. That's also okay. That also potentially gives you the opportunity to return the favor, right? Hey, do you want to move up to the next level, right? Like, should we maybe swap ideas here? Because here's what I'm seeing and what got me from where you are to where I'm at now, right? And it allows this continued relationship. But I digress. Who should make up your board? So we mentioned peers and we mentioned senior kind of mentors or peers. So people that are in your direct lateral career stage and line of work, and the people that have made it past that. Now, another one is depending on what path you are in, some people are very industry oriented. Where I've had, my IT career is very industry agnostic. I've worked for oil and gas. I've worked for retail, worked for sales, worked for SaaS, worked for marketing. I've worked for a small company to Fortune 500. You know what I mean? My industry and company size has been very, very, very broad because technology is relatively technology. It's just size and scope that changes. But if you are somebody who is maybe specifically in, a manufacturing world where manufacturing is an industry, then you might also want to seek out industry experts. So not just people that are in your direct line of work. Again, if you are, let's say you're in manufacturing and you're on the front lines and you want to go from front lines to lead on the front lines, and then you want to go to designer, and then you want to go to compliance and then operate, right? So like you're just kind of working your way up the ladder from an operations perspective. But you might also want to seek out other people and other characters and lines of work within the industry itself. So people that are maybe at that executive level, or people that are kind of adjacent, they're in automotive manufacturing, but you are in chemical manufacturing, and what is the overlap of equipment and technology and things like that, just garnering that fresh perspective that are industry experts from that parent level industry. And then the last one of what could be very, very useful is that outside perspective, right? So people that are almost very unrelated to what you do, but they're going to provide either a unique insight directly to your line of work, or they're rounding it out. So like I mentioned before, you might need to understand a little bit more in business or operations or finance or people skills or whatever it might be. And these sorts of aspects can be learned and are somewhat universal, agnostic of your industry or agnostic of your line of work, right? And so this is where seeking that outside perspective of people who have achieved what you want, that you're going to be looking for. So you do want a let's go with a diverse board here, but you want a diversity of thought. And so again, you want to have a level of peers, senior mentors, industry experts, and outside perspective. Okay. Now, when it comes to both approaching and maintaining these relationships, you guys have heard me before. This is all about reciprocity. The best way to go about initiating a mentor-mentee relationship is make their life better. Whoever you are seeking out, make their life better. Whether that's just immediately saying, hey, I automated this thing for you. What do you think of my solution? Did I account for the variables? What tweaks should I make? You could also go to them and say, hey, I want to be where you are. So how can I start to take off maybe the low-hanging fruit or the entry-level parts of your position or the things where your salary spend is just not where it should be? I'd like to start taking that on. Can we start to identify those things? And then I will take those off of your plate. So, and that part is very interesting because it can look like it's just more work. But if you are looking to move up, then you are also probably really good at your job. And so you can get done the amount of work needed in your current role and then take theirs on with minimal additional effort. And then you can also tell them, hey, I'm at the point to where I can't take on anything else until I increase efficiency, right? And then you're maybe looking for efficiency gains in systems, and maybe they can help you with that aspect too. Oh, hey, you're doing this thing in a very manual way. We could do this to automate it, right? And it just becomes this tag team, like I said, mentor-mentee relationship, but it's rooted in reciprocity. It is you making them better. And here's the thing, because you're making them better, you're freeing up their time. They can now leverage that into also doing more, right? And so it creates this chain reaction upward where because you're freeing up their time, taking things off their plate, they might either just simply invest that into themselves, they might invest it into the family, or they might invest it into their senior person and going, hey, I have some time freed up because of, John, what can I do? Take off your plate, right? And then you create it, and then everybody begins this forward momentum of upward thinking. And now you're building a culture that you initiated by just looking for a mentor-mentee relationship. Okay. If it's something to where it's a little bit more tangential, so like or not tangential, sorry, a little bit more distance. So my friend circle that I mentioned before is all spread out across the country. So, it's one of those things where we need to make an effort for kind of a monthly or bi-monthly check-ins and how things are going and leverage technology to do this. And so there is a level of kind of determining that frequency if it's a little bit more estranged of a relationship or a little more spread of a relationship. But the key thing is, if you think about it, again, from any relationship, is that it's rooted in reciprocal value. So if you do have that mentor who's maybe not seeing what you do on a daily basis, and so when you do check in for that month, right, or that bi-monthly or quarterly, whatever it is, you better be able to deliver some results. You better be able to show them, hey, you told me to do this. That was freaking incredible. I am so grateful. Here's what I did. Here's what happened, right? Like, this is phenomenal. And then at the same time, you should be providing value to them. Hey, how did this thing go that I took off your plate? Was it adequate? Did it help? What have you been doing with your time? What have you been, now that you are more freed up or your life is more efficient, what have you been doing? And kind of keeping that aspect, right, to where you are genuinely expressing the curiosity because you're helping them move up in their world and you want to understand what their plan is and what they're doing and how they're going about the next level, right? Again, this chain reaction of continued moving up, this isn't a one-time thing. This is continual over time and an extended time horizon. So in order to keep this going, you need to continue to be curious. Hey, what are you doing with that time? How are you going about this? Where do you think the industry is going? Or what skills are you developing to take you to the next level, right? And again, how can I support you? What can I take off? Continue this over and over and over and over again, okay? And here's the other thing. Because you're also bringing on a diverse set of these board of directors concept, you're going to get conflicting views. And this is where you just need to leverage your own reason. Trust your gut. Trust your instincts. Like, you are smarter than you think you are. Okay. And you need to be able to decipher and just take the action, take the risk. And it might fail. And that's okay, because now you know what not to do. At the same time, you might miss an opportunity. And now that's going to stink, right? Because you chose to listen to this one, you didn't listen to this one. So not only did this actually fail, but you missed this opportunity that could have taken things to skyrocketing, right? And that's going to sting. You absorb that and you learn from that mistake. So understand that you're going to get conflicting advice. And your job is to create your own spin on it. And your job is to also test it, right? It is to just give it a shot. And maybe it wasn't bad advice, but your approach and your implementation was completely incorrect. Okay. So again, we're looking to build a diverse kind of circle for you. And you're going to build and maintain these rooted in reciprocal value and be genuinely curious about what that mentor is doing to take themselves to the next level. Okay. And if that mentor begins to stagnate and maybe doesn't have aspirations to go beyond where they're currently at, then now you begin to go, okay, do I need to look out for a different mentor? Should I maybe seek somebody else that is going to that next level, right? And maybe even asking them, hey, do you know somebody that's looking to go to that next level, or is it that next level? And then you continue to maintain that relationship more on a friendship or less formal capacity. Okay. And so I mentioned, I kind of do this to myself in both aspects. And just to kind of give a couple different examples for myself, both who I leverage and then people leveraging me, right? So I'll give a little bit of both. So one of my first mentors early on was when I worked for an oil and gas company. And, he told me something so simple. So from a technology perspective, I'll try not to get too nerdy and I'll make it a little bit more broad. But he was like, look, don't learn the specifics and the syntax and the tangible things of the technology you're working on. Learn what's happening underneath the hood. Learn the fundamental principles, because every vendor is doing the same thing when you look at underneath. The question is, what is their term for it? What do they call it? Is it a checkbox or is it a command, right? Like the tactics of what you are doing are what's going to get you trapped and stuck into being able to only work on one particular type of technology or one particular machine. And where the other side is, if you learn what's happening underneath the scenes, then you can go anywhere, right? So taking something fairly agnostic. So if we look at like project management software, okay, so you can look at something like Monday, where Monday.com, they use boards, they use tasks, they use subtasks, okay? Then you take that to something like, it's been a while since I've used something else. You go to Jira, okay? Atlassian Jira uses epics and stories and tasks and subtasks, right? Okay, well, these are all the same thing, right? Like the epic is the board, the story is the task, and then the tasks and subtasks are the same as the tasks and checklist. Sorry, like there are 4 levels of project management. They're different terms, but it's the same thing. And what are they really doing? And it's just a hierarchy of what is each thing, right? The overarching initiative is the board or the epic. The story is the milestone. The task is the milestone. Then the subtask, the task in Jira is the action to take. And the subtask is more of like a checklist item. So did I do boom, 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 boom? Okay, we're good. And then over here, you have the task, which is the same terminology. So the action to take, and then they call it a checklist instead of a subtask of how far am I completed on the action, right? So learn what's happening underneath, and then you can adapt to any technology or any aspect within your industry. That is something that was super helpful. And especially being in IT, where the average technology is outdated in 18 months, I think it is, or even less. Being adaptable to going, okay, what is the actual underlying function of the thing that I'm doing? And then I can go support any vendor. I can go work on any machine. I can adapt to any different purchase or replacement technology or whatever it might be. Another one, I'm going to go with investment, right? So from a investment side of the equation, so I had a bad experience in my first real estate investment and was like, I'm over it. I don't want to do it again. My family has made money in real estate. That's always been one of their kind of primary side hustles. And then it came time for me to get back into real estate, to purchase a home again, to make this sort of thing. And that has been the single largest lever of allowing me flexibility in life. And on top of that is the primary vehicle that is driving my financial goals forward at this current time. I don't want it to be forever, but this was something to where I made a mistake. I had the bad lesson learned. I said, I made a mistake in real estate, therefore real estate bad. And it was my mistake. And it was a mixture of not doing due diligence, but also not understanding what could potentially happen in the future. And the long story short of it was my HOA at the time screwed me out of a significant positive investment. And I didn't know that that was a possibility. So now I have the lesson learned. That was the real thing to learn from that scenario, is how to protect myself against that potential instance from happening again. Now I can leverage this into future real estate deals. And then looking at something of where I go or people come to me. So I had a client of mine who wasn't quite sure how to navigate a salary negotiation portion. They knew they were worth more. They actually had a company reach out to them cold, saying, hey, I like your background. Would you be open to an interview? And they literally were left with a $50,000 disparity between their current role and the new offering from the people who reached out cold. That level of gap is what some people make, period. Like, that's total salary level, for some people, $50,000. And this was just a raise or an opportunity. And so they didn't know what to do. And especially what made it even worse is they loved the company and the leadership they were currently at. So they came to me and they were like, hey, I don't know quite how to negotiate this. I don't know how to handle this situation. And I walked them through. I said, okay, well, what is the personalities that you're dealing with within your current organization? How do they respond to people negotiating with them or people presenting evidence, or, how do they respond to these types of situations? And so what we did is we came up with a scenario and a presentation that was like, hey, yes, I do have this counter offer, but the counter offer is actually backed up by research that's more publicly available for what I should be earning in this industry, in this role. At the same time, I also believe that I am worth promoting into this role based off of A, B, and C achievements, impacts, and above and beyond that I have done in my tenure here. And it was a very, very amicable situation. It was saying, hey, look, here's what the market's telling me I'm worth. Here's the amount of money and direct revenue impact that I've made for you. And on top of that, look, I do have this other offer. I want to be transparent with you, but I don't want to take it. That's not what I want. I want to be here. And they said, okay, we'll match it. Boom. Match the offer in a single year, $50,000 raise. And that person's now been there still, I believe, 4 years now, just continuing on and moving up and providing more value. Right? So it was one of those things to where that's an example of somebody coming to me. I had another person come to me because they had 3 different kind of VP options on the table for themselves. And they just weren't quite sure how to navigate those waters. They were like, oh man, I don't know which one I want to go for. What are the pros and cons? And we had to sit down and we mapped out, where do we think the industry is going? What do we think here's going to be future-proof? What is not future-proof? If you think the industry you're in is going to be going downhill, then which of these positions is also most transferable to a different industry, right? And we mapped out this giant decision tree, and there came out to be 2 clear winners. And really what it came to be is then when this person sat down with their president and CEO, they were like, hey, here's the 2 options I see, but I need to know more about the company and where you are looking to take it in order to make the best decision here. And so we kind of mocked up what that conversation would look like, and boom, they nailed it. Them and the president and CEO said, okay, this is the right path. This is what I'm thinking, because this is where I want to take the company and where we're looking to expand, and so on and so forth. And this led to them now being a path to that position, to the VP level, the next level, in the next 12 months. Right? So understanding the people that are in your life and also not in your life. Like I said, things like podcasts and mentors and videos and books and these sorts of things, right? Like understanding what the roles are that people play and having those consistent voices and consistent sources is going to be key, right? Think of yourself like an organization. Give yourself a board of directors, and that board of directors should consist of peers, senior mentors, industry experts, and outside perspective. And you want to build all those relationships on reciprocal value. and look at all of the areas of opportunity that contribute to your future goal and have a mentor in all of those realms, right? That is what you need. And when you have a mentor for every single realm that's actually giving you the actions to take and has already been where you want to go and has taken other people there, that is the recipe for success. But make sure you are providing value all along the way. You do not have to make career decisions alone. You do not have to make professional decisions or fail over and over again on your own. Okay, build yourself a diverse support system of a few key people in your life, a few key external mentors that are filling those gaps, and then just execute, right? So if anyone is looking for instance, interview coaching, salary negotiation, leadership training, breaking into leadership from individual contributor, reach out to me. There's a link below. Take the quiz, fill out the form, book a free consultation. Let's get the ball rolling, okay? This is the key to moving things forward. None of us got to where we are in any form of achievement on our own. We are all standing on the backs of giants. Identify your giants and move forward. I hope this video is going to help take you to the next level. If you like this type of content, hit the like button. If you have any comments, questions, additional things about the content, leave it down below. If you have any feedback for the content creation, also leave that in the comments below. I will respond to every single comment every single time. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. We are also live on LinkedIn, Instagram, and X, and Facebook. So check us out there. Until next time, I appreciate you joining me today. Thank you.